In this lesson, we are going to interact with Mr. Dinesh Krishnan, who is a senior photojournalist and a photo editor, and is presently the visual editor with the Hindu, Chennai. He is going to speak to us about his journey and how he got into the field of photojournalism. Let's go over to Mr. Dinesh Krishnan.
I'm sure the young generation is really looking forward to hearing from you about your adventures and your experiences through the camera, with the camera, in and around, spaces and time. So tell us, what is it that brought you to photography?
Well, I wanted to be in journalism for sure, and that's something which I was very keen on. And this is very early, and you may wonder how early can you really want to be in journalism, but yeah, I was, because I didn't know that I'd make a career in that, but I liked journalism. Maybe that's because people back home were insisting that, that I should read a newspaper in the morning, even if I didn't know anything of what it meant in the papers. Maybe they were trying to get my English in order, or whatever it was the idea. They didn't have a clue that they didn't want to make me a journalist either. But journalism is what, that's how I got introduced to journalism, without them even trying to make an effort about it. But along the way, I began to get interested in film, in cinematography, and without knowing it's cinematography, in movies, in movie making, in the scenes that went behind the movie. I mean, not as much as what's on the screen, but I was beginning to kind of question and wonder how this thing got done. And maybe it's all organic. All of this was very organic. It was not something that I stitched together. That some people say I wanted to be a photographer when I was like 7. No, I didn't want to be a photographer. I was like a regular kid wanting to play cricket, get into the thick of things, do all this stuff. Yeah, that's what this is. This is like the early 80s in Andhra. I was in many places in India, and this is one of my time when I was in Andhra. And cricket and computers all kids thought about those days. You wanted to be in the computer engineering space and go to the US, or you want to play cricket. In between that, boys didn't know anything much, right? Girls didn't want to go into cricket, but they want to do something else, maybe also technical stuff. That's how things were. We didn't think about journalism and photography. But journalism, I was interested, like the way I told you, reading papers. Film, I was interested. And maybe sometime around, and the first time I saw in maybe my early teens, when I thought, it's the camera. It's journalism I like, but I like to do it with the camera. Maybe in my teens, and that's how it came about. And then it so happened that I found a university to kind of offer me a full-fledged degree in photojournalism and photography in a fine arts space, within a fine arts space, Bachelor of Fine Arts. In fact, it was one of the universities in India, the only university in India which offered me a degree, 5 years at that. So yeah, so that's how I entered the profession. I entered the space of photojournalism and through the fine arts, and here I am. So 1991, I was asked to join I got this opportunity of joining the Hindustan Times. Big break it was. Those days they didn't take in anybody without 5 years of experience. I mean, that's what my then boss, who was a gentleman called N. Tyagarajan. I saw him he was having an exhibition, of his entire body of work over 30 years or 35 years, and that's the work which he had put up, and I'd gone to see his show, and then he saw that I had a portfolio in my hand, and he says, you're walking around with the portfolio, what's this about? I said, I have come to see your work and also see whether I can apply for the Hindustan Times. He says, you're like fresh? I said, yeah, from college. He says, well, no, we're not taking anybody, we're not looking at anybody this young, we want somebody with 5 years experience. That's how India was, 5 years experience. You come with an experience, you're born with an experience. He doesn't know how it was, but yeah. But that's how India was. India needed experience. I said, listen, if you don't give me an opportunity, how on earth am I going to get experience? He says, listen, I didn't tell you that I won't give you a job. I won't help you. I didn't say that. I just said, Hindustan Times can't hire you. All the same, I'll take your application. Took my application. And then he saw my work and everything else. Well, fast forward, I got a job. The interview happened. The editors grilled me. It was lovely. I didn't have fear. I just didn't have any fear. I don't know why. Something in me was like, you know what? Nothing is going to happen. They can't take my head off. So I walked in with that kind of a, and the editor, I had no idea who it was. Later turned out to be a very legendary editor. Thank God I didn't know that man was like some big shot, Mr. H.K. Dua. And another gentleman called Naresh Mohan, who was like the granddaddy of the Birla Empire, running the media empire. I had no clue, and I walked in without any problems. They said, yeah, sat up there. So they were not used to my kind of. So they saw my work and they asked me questions. And so, well, I got the job. I know for a fact that they were taking a risk, but well, I only had college kind of experience, and they were taking me for Hindustan Times. Real deep world, bad world there. 1 week into the job, and my boss tells me, Chagarajan tells me, how good can you handle the cold? I said, well, I'm in a t-shirt, you're in a sweater, you tell me. He says, I'm not talking about this kind of cold. I'm talking about real cold. I said, yeah, I can. Uttarkashi? I said, what's happening there? Follow-up story on the earthquake of Uttarkashi. Now, just a month before that, there was an earthquake which completely shattered and destroyed Uttarkashi district. This is 1991. Deaths weren't too many, but destruction was crazy. It took many years for it to subside. So that happened before I joined. Anyway, now this was a follow-up story because the winters were really around the corner. It's already November. It's going to snow in many parts of the Uttarkashi district. The higher reaches are going to be snowed down. And they wanted to see, the paper wanted to see whether relief measures had reached the paper. So what am I saying? Relief measures reached the people. I said, lovely, I'll go. So they gave me a photo fax. I never seen a photo fax before. You guys are used to this, right? You take a picture, talak, send, and you get likes. I'll tell you what I was used to. They gave me a suitcase. And I really mean it. They gave me a suitcase. They said, learn about this. And I was to go next day morning. I said, what is this? So out comes a machine which is by the Associated Press, AP. Like that big. Okay? So it's a drum fax. You guys can look at, wonder where it comes from. Yeah, it's prehistoric. It's a drum fax, photographic drum fax. Now, we take a picture. I was good in printing. Thank God for something. I was good in printing. I knew for a fact that I could take on these guys in this legendary paper in their printing. I knew my printing very well. I knew my processing very well. What I didn't know was that I could do photography in the real world. This part of it I knew. I knew my darkroom very well. So that's one thing. Now here comes the test. This machine is a drum fax. So you make a print, you dry it, and then you put it into your drum fax, connect it to a telephone line, and you call up your office and say, okay, I'm sending I'm sending the picture through this drum fax. And for 7 minutes, 120 revolutions per minute is how resolution gets, that's how this picture would transmit. So there's a sensor going from one point to another point. Okay, and there is drum on which I have to stick my picture to. And that keeps rotating. And the sensor goes from here to there in 7 minutes. In that 7 minutes, this machine, which has got connected to a telephone line, transmits a picture to your office. Someone sitting in your office would receive your picture and file it to the editor. Now, what we would do to ensure that the right picture has the right caption. Now, imagine the pictures we did were 5 by 7 inches, the prints. So we used to make a 5 by 7 print in a darkroom. I'm assuming that someone would have told you how these prints are made. So I won't get into that. In a darkroom we make a print. Imagine this is a 5 by 7 print, which has your photograph, and we would leave a little white space, at the bottom of the print. And in that white space, with a marker, you write a caption down. All right, and then we transmit the picture through the drum fax. Someone receiving it gets the picture on a different kind of paper and with the caption. So he would take it to the editor and clear it or not clear it, whatever happens. Now the thing is, the way I would print a picture, there's not a picture, but just imagine, they're all black and white, by the way. They're not, none of them are color, right? They're all black and white. So imagine this picture. Imagine this picture looks like soap. But if this is how it printed in the paper, this is not how it would have looked like when I sent it. Okay? Because in a loss of transmission, now there would be a real loss of transmission here. What I send through the 120 millimeter, 120 revolutions photo fax would be one kind of print, and what would be received at the other end would be another kind of print. There would be a loss there. So the print I would make would actually cover up for the loss. So that's how I would do it. And we thought about these things, okay, before we made the prints. And then it landed there, and the editor chose not to. This is a great experience. I mean, I was thrown in the deep end of things, and that's how I began my career. And I kind of shot pictures for the Hindustan Times for about 4 years. And from the range of subjects, this is what a newspaper would give, a photographer those days, right? From interviews of young little poets to 1992 was when the Babri Masjid came down. Right. Delhi was up in flames. Parts of Delhi were like unthinkable, So yeah, one got to cover those kind of things too. Plus, Punjab terrorism was on its last leg. It had not completely gone away. It was still, every now and then it will keep coming up now and then. And after Babri Masjid, certain parts of Delhi would always keep coming up every now and then. So all of these things we got to cover. Plus, of course, the nice things, I got to cover the national sports, the national games in Pune, and I love cricket, and I love covering all of that. So we got to cover. That's what a newspaper gives you. It gives you a range of things to cover. So that's what my first 4 years were. So it was a great schooling. I got to cover, in fact, my last assignment for the Hindustan Times then, 1995, is when I quit. Was one of the last assignments I remember was a solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse in October of that year. Yeah, October. In fact, the entire line on which the eclipse was on was in Fatehpur Sikri, one of my favorite places, Fatehpur Sikri in Uttar Pradesh. Beautiful place. I went there to cover the eclipse. That was one of my last assignments for the Hindustan Times then. But yeah, that's it. That's my beginning.
I hope that you enjoyed listening to Mr. Dinesh Krishnan and his journey into the field of photojournalism. In the next video, Mr. Dinesh Krishnan is going to talk to us about the role of a photo editor and what does a photo editor do. So, be back with us for the next video.